All right, welcome to another episode of the Why Influence podcast. Today we've got another amazing guest. Her name is Nicole Sanchez. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show and here and talk with us here today, Nicole.
So nice to be here. Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Sure. So what I'm going to do real quick is share my screen and just show you a little bit about what Nicole's up to. So she's got a YouTube channel called Yay or Nay Nicole. She's got over 14,000 subscribers. She has over 1.6 million views on YouTube, and she creates a lot of videos just talking about how, different kind of, ways to look young. So there's a lot of videos about makeup and things like that, and your videos are getting consistently hundreds and thousands of views at a minimum. So awesome job there. And then I pulled up some Social Blade data. I hope that's okay.
That's totally fine.
All right, so it looks like you're getting about an average of 1,000 views per day on your YouTube channel, which is pretty amazing that you're touching that many people every day. And then you're also on Instagram, where you have you're about to hit 10,000 followers. I'll hit that follow back, or I'm a little bit closer there.
Thank you.
And I guess that was my quick overview there. But do you mind sharing a little bit in your own words about what you do?
Yeah, so for YouTube, when I started watching YouTube a lot, I noticed there weren't a lot of people that were over 40 that were doing it. And I just thought that I had something to add to the conversation. I've been kind of a, beauty fanatic since I was about 13 and kind of found my first purple eyeliner. And I just wanted to kind of share my experiences and what I thought really worked and what didn't. And I guess I've always wanted to kind of help people if they're saving time or money or headache or whatever. So I just started doing it, and it just grew into this whole other thing. I did not ever realize what a two-way street YouTube was. I kind of thought, oh, you put content up and maybe people comment, but it just became this whole other thing, and it has just been one of the most enjoyable things I've ever done. It's tons of work, but I absolutely love it. And the relationships I have now with people I've met, subscribers, it's just been amazing.
Nice. Yeah, I was browsing some of your comments, and on one of the videos I was looking at, someone said they paused the video, showed the screenshot to their husband, and was like, "How old do you think this person is?" And she was like, "He said 38, 39, and she's 52." And so you've made a big impact on a lot of people, and I see that in the comments. And I'm curious, is there a story that comes up for you, like an unintended consequence, like maybe someone who's reached out to you and you've touched them in a certain way? Do you mind sharing like a story or a moment
Oh
of someone who's
yeah.
impacted in a way you didn't expect?
Yeah, so there's really probably two. One is that I just want women to feel like, once you're over 40, you don't need to give up. I mean, not everyone has to do the full face hair thing, but even if it's just a swipe of lip gloss or just a way to just do something to your hair that just makes you feel better about yourself. I put on makeup when I'm not seeing anyone just because I like it. I just feel good and I like it. And again, that's everyone's preference. So that is definitely one of the things I hear from a lot of people that, just different ideas or tips or tricks just to make them feel a little bit better or more confident now that we're all in these Zoom meetings for work and things like that. And then the second one is I've done some videos about, like, I had a little bit of pre-skin cancer and I had that removed. And I did a video about that actually too, because I had it done twice. And wow, those comments, people are like, oh my gosh, thank you for showing kind of the full experience, what it's like. They'd ask me questions or, oh my God, I didn't know that. Or my doctor didn't tell you that. Because, a lot of times doctors just, they try, but until you've actually done it and had it, maybe they haven't, they don't explain it. So that has been one place that I felt has really helped people, is just things like that. And it's just these little things. Sometimes a video that I'll just go, oh, that was kind of interesting. And I make one that sometimes has more impact than when I really think out. That's the funny thing about YouTube, right? You never know what is going to take off, no matter how hard you seem to think it out.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. And it's not like you started this YouTube channel thinking that you would have those kind of results and people being touched in those ways. So it's pretty amazing the kind of reach that you've grown to get.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the how, and then we'll dive into your why. So, you're primarily on YouTube as your main platform. If you met someone today who wanted to grow a YouTube presence, maybe they haven't started yet or they're just about to start out, what would be some of the biggest advice that you would give this person?
Well, one thing I would do is I'd say do some research before you get started. Just because I seriously grabbed my husband's camera, I filmed something, and I taught myself to video edit. I had no idea, and I had no idea how YouTube worked. And there are such great resources now out there for you, like watching Daryl Eves or my friend Erica Vieira. She has the YouTube training. Like you don't have to go to the training. I'm just saying there's so much free content out there, video creators. I mean, that you can go and kind of get an idea of what you should do to set yourself up for success. And it's not all about the best equipment and the great light. I mean, you need to have good lighting and good audio and decent, but it's really about the content and figuring out more narrowly what you want to talk about. And I wish I had known that earlier on, because I'm interested in this, and I was kind of all over the place rather than kind of having more of a focus on what my content was. And I think if I'd stuck with one direction sooner, it would have been easier. But it was really just for fun. I didn't ever start this thinking about making any money or anything. I just kind of wanted to put my idea out there. It was kind of a creative outlet. I had a daughter who was going through huge health issues like kidney surgeries, open heart surgery. Like all that started about 2 months after I started my channel, like a lot of the big stuff. And I almost quit. And I'm so glad I didn't, because when I was in the hospital, like late at night, that was something that, because sometimes you had to stay up all night if you were in the cardiovascular, ICU, that you're not
Yeah.
allowed to even shut your eyes because they want everyone on alert just in case. And I could video edit, and I could, be talking to my subscribers in the comments, and it was just such a beautiful creative outlet for me at that really dark
Okay.
time. So it's just been amazing.
Okay, yeah, and I think I see that a lot, where people will start a channel just not really knowing what to do, and it sort of figure your way out through the process. But you see a way to shortcut a lot of that process by doing a lot of upfront effort into learning some of the tricks of the trade, or narrowing your mission, or what your niche is going to be, things like that.
Yeah, like one thing for me was like my titles. I was just putting cute, funny titles. I wasn't even thinking about searchability. So I would put something that was very clever, but it wasn't where people put, how to best da da da, or how would I, that kind of thing. So just, and I'm not saying to sit there for months and months doing research, but kind of put a little thought into that part of it,
Right.
because there is a method to the madness, right?
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. So let's say you meet someone who's been creating content. Maybe they're a peer of yours, or maybe a little bit further along in their journey. What's some of your like secret sauce that you feel like that you've done different than the average person on YouTube, that you can attribute some of your success to?
Um, hmm. Well, I think I kind of got into a niche that, because of the age group, that was a little bit different. And a lot of people in that age group weren't really on YouTube that much. Now there seems to be more. I have a lot of friends who have channels that have absolutely, just done fantastically. The one thing I think that holds me back is the amount of content I'm putting out. I do about one video a week-ish, but that's because it's not my full-time thing. And that's one thing people have to understand. It takes a lot of time, because if you want to do a really good video, you need to do your research, then you shoot it. Then there's the editing. And I do some cooking videos sometimes, and cooking videos can take 10 to 12 hours to edit because you have so many cuts. So, I think people have to know going in, how much time this really, really takes, and having a family and things like that. So, but I think one thing that I do differently, at least now, I'm about to try a different kind of a concept that'll be coming out soon. So that'll be probably coming up this weekend, a different twist. But I think really just trying to be authentic the whole time. I mean, I think most people do try to, but at first you're really like trying to be, oh my God, you're so kind of like worried about the appearance of everything. I think don't worry about it. You don't have to edit out every little thing you do wrong, because I mean, you're just a person. So I think trying to
Right.
put yourself out there as you are.
Yeah, that's huge. I definitely see that and have experienced that, through my own journey, where authenticity is just so important. And I know in the beginning, like when I started my podcast, I would just ask a question, get the answer, and then I'd record myself asking that question in post editing, because I didn't like how I sounded in the first couple episodes, and that pulled away so much of the authenticity from it. And now here we are live streaming the interview, so it's a lot more raw and authentic.
Yeah.
And I definitely see that coonnects more. So that's great advice.
Yeah. Yeah. I do some live streaming for, my real job thing. And it's funny when the mic falls over or things happen. And I mean, it just makes it actually kind of fun.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your journey here. So you started the YouTube channel. Is that when you first put yourself out there as like a personal presence in a big way, or where did your sharing journey sort of begin? I guess let's try to find the origin there.
Yeah, it was really YouTube. It was YouTube. I just thought I want to try this, and I didn't even tell anybody in my family other than my husband and kids, obviously, because they lived here and could see what was going on, that I was doing it for a year. My own mother didn't know because, I kind of wanted to just do it on my own terms. I didn't want people's input. I didn't want any judgment. I just wanted to see where it went. And I still haven't put it on my personal Facebook. I guess I should probably do that now because most people know. But I just wanted to see like where this would go without, friends kind of hitting the subscribe button. It was very kind of personal journey kind of thing for me. So I thought that was kind of different. And probably most people tell people, but I was a little bit, I guess, not shy, but just wanted it for myself.
Okay, and I just did a filter on your YouTube channel. So it was about 6 years ago when you started your YouTube channel, like when you uploaded that first video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it's just been so much fun. It's amazing the people you meet and when events were a thing, the events I get to go to. And I just this one company reached out to me. They were doing a women's health summit and it was all about osteoporosis and all this. And they had 12 women that they selected and I was one of them. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like a small channel. And it was just an amazing event. And I got so much great information, kind of to put out there to people that I didn't even realize, how really healthy looking people can get osteoporosis because they're not taking care of it. It's things like that, or going to New York to IPSI events. And it's just been so much fun. So don't let the size of your channel worry you so much, and this year actually, financially, it's been pretty good. It's not like taking over for my job, but it's been kind of nice.
Nice. Yeah. So, you started your channel 6 years ago. Let's dive into that a little bit. Like, how did you feel when you posted that first video? Because you mentioned like even up till today, 6 years in, you still haven't shared on your personal Facebook, and now most people in your network know that you are doing it, so it's not as big of a deal to like say, hey, this is what I'm up to. But like, what was it like back then when you hit that upload button on your first video?
Oh my gosh, the first time I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. It was super exciting. And then somebody subscribed and I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, I kept checking, like, oh my gosh, someone else subscribed. So I remember when I had 10 subscribers after my first video, I was like, wow. I just thought that was just so amazing. And I still remember that excitement. It was so cool. And then, that kind of never dies. So every once in a while, if I have a video that does super well, like one I did on tretinoin, I guess that was probably about a year ago, and it's gotten over 100,000 views. And all of a sudden, when something like that happens, you're just like, whoa, because it's still exciting. Just to know that you're connecting with people like that. They care enough to subscribe and listen to what you're saying and have a conversation. I think it's still there for me.
Yeah, yeah. So, so oftentimes, when it's something like that, it's uncomfortable to put yourself out there. You require like a powerful why because you have to overcome those barriers to pushing that upload button. So I'm curious, what was your why for starting the YouTube channel? Like, like why was it important to you to have that to put yourself out there on there?
Well, I think when I really boiled it down, I was really thinking about that. One thing that I hate is kind of wasting time or money. And I felt like I had so much I could talk about that would save people time and money because there's so many things out there that don't work or that, in my opinion, using just why would you waste your money and time? So if I can save people, time, money, heartache, it makes me feel good when someone says, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you told me that because, it's helping me, or I didn't waste my money on that, or I'll never do that, or I want to do that. So that's kind of what it was for me. I just get a lot of satisfaction for that. So I think that's why I do it.
Okay. And if you don't mind, I'm doing another layer deep here, but like, why is it important for you to save people's time? Like, creating this content, you're sharing something that you learned yourself and had to go through those, figuring it out, and now you can shortcut it for someone else. But why is that so important to save other people's time?
I think, I guess growing up, I had to figure out a lot of things myself. I first generation born here, both parents from a different country. And it was just kind of hard sometimes. And so I guess I just somehow like your kids, you want them to learn from your mistakes, not make them themselves. If you can save them some heartache or something. And I guess that's just kind of always been a thing for me. Like I always think about what I wish someone had told me, or wish what I knew at that point in time. And, maybe it's not about a lipstick. Maybe it's about something a lot bigger than that. So I think that's kind of where that comes from.
Okay. Yeah, that
So I was
makes
kind of
sense.
the weird, nerdy kid who's, didn't dress right, who didn't, you know what I mean? Who just socially was completely inept. And plus I was born in July, so I was young for my age group, for my grade,
Right.
and I skipped a grade, so I was complete fish out of water. So I think it's just coming from there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, my wife's in a similar boat where she skipped a grade and was in the younger side of things.
Yeah.
All right, so let's fast forward to today. You're still creating content. It's helped you push through times like when your daughter was in the hospital and sick. It's given you a purpose in those moments to like stay awake and things like that. But why would you say is like your primary why for today? Like for why you're still creating these videos and still creating this content. Has it changed at all, or is there a different why that's come out of it, or what are your thoughts there?
I think there's an additive why. I think it's my community. I think it's my fellow creators. I just love being part of it. I love being part of the conversation. I just, my subscribers are fantastic. And then my friends that I've made, who are subscribers and fellow creators, it's just a lot of fun too. So on top of it now, it was fun from the beginning, but now it's just become like another part of my life, those relationships. So absolutely just would say it's the people.
Okay, awesome. So I'm curious. You've gone through like a full journey here, but w- do you mind sharing like a moment where you've had to like give yourself permission to like completely level up something that maybe was in your way to overcome some giant barrier? Like, is there any points either recently that you feel like you had to give yourself permission to help you achieve, or even if it's in the earlier days? I'm just curious if there's any moments that come to mind for you for when you had to like give yourself permission to overcome something that related to this.
Hmm. Well, I think there was a point. So when I started and I was putting my content up, I was, grabbing something, talking about it. I didn't do a lot of research on things. I knew what I knew, but like you can go deeper. And I think there was a turning point probably when I was about a year in, where I was like, you know what, I could be even better than this. And so not just talking about what I know, but then I would also do more research on companies and ingredients and things like that. So at that point, I really was like, okay, so I'm going to step this up, even more. And then also production quality. I thought it was fine. And I ended up making friends with this great video editor, and he was like, oh, but your audio, and like, so learning to kind of tweak things and realize that, there are so many places I can improve. And I think I'm always trying to improve. Like this new concept video that is coming out, I spent probably 30 or 40 hours of research, but a lot of it's fun research because I love the topic. And then I shot the whole thing. It took me hours to shoot. And then I watched it. I was like, you know what, I could do it better than that. And I reshot it. So I think sometimes you just have to kind of self-assess and do things like that. And it might be, like, oh God, like who wants to do that necessarily again? But I'm so glad I did, because it turned out so much better.
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. And I think that actually, thinking on it worked a little bit in your favor by waiting to do that, because a lot of times people stop too early because they're focused on things like that. And you waited till you were a year in to then really deep dive into, okay, how can we make this better? That now that you've already started and you built the habit of continuing to create content, and you've committed to that path. And so I think that's a great approach from, what I've seen and some other people.
Yeah. My first video, it's so funny. When I look at that, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like so wooden.
Yeah. Do you ever, how often do you go back and look at that?
Oh, I don't think I've looked in a few years. I was like, oh
Okay.
my God.
Nice. Yeah. So previously you talked a little bit about your community, but do you mind sharing like a little bit about your community? Like, is the community mostly on YouTube, like through the YouTube comments, or do you have like an offline area, like a Discord or Slack where people hang out, or what's the like feel of the community, or just can you talk briefly on your community?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So the community, it's really, on YouTube. I haven't done any, separate things. I just time wise, I just haven't had time to set anything up like that. But it's really a varied group, because I kind of thought, oh, I'm doing the over 40 thing. Most people are going to be over 40, but a lot of them are actually, in the younger age group, kind of like the, probably later 20s to in the 30s, because I think a lot of people are trying to figure out, what can I do now to make middle age better, to plan
Right.
for it. So there's a lot of people in that age group, and they're all over the world, and it's just it was wonderful to see their faces in the comments, and you get to know each other. It's fun. That's the funny thing, because you would think, oh, comments, but when you have the same people for years, and how are your kids, or when you had your birthday, or how's this going, it really becomes like your pen pals almost, which is really a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Nice. And has any of those comments grown into something more? Like, have you built like personal relationships or had like conversations with people as
Oh
through
yeah,
that?
definitely. Yeah. One of my subscribers, she's in San Diego. Like she and I, there was this one brand had this buy one get one thing, and we both wanted the opposite, and so like we did that together, or you kind of, yeah, and then we'll chat like in the DMs on Instagram sometimes. Not just her, but some of my subscribers who follow me there too. So it's, yeah, so it really is, yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's so cool when you get to meet them at an event or something.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So let's talk briefly from a high level, whatever you're comfortable with, from like a financial situation. So you had mentioned that this is not a full-time thing, and there's other people out there who might be in a similar situation than you as you. So it might be helpful to hear how you're approaching it. But do you mind sharing just from a high level, like where your income sources are from? You said that you started making a little bit from the channel, so maybe a little
Hmm.
bit on that, or talk briefly
Yeah.
about your full-time job, or you just
Sure. Yeah. So on the channel, so I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, so my channel would have to be like a lot larger for this to be, really viable for me as my full time thing, because it's so expensive here. And I was monetized before they had the threshold. So when I started, everybody was monetized, but it was like really like nothing. I mean, it's really nothing. So the YouTube AdSense is a little part of it, but I started getting some sponsored videos here and there. I've had some agencies and brands reach out, and that always is nice. And then affiliate links. I mean, I should have done that a lot earlier. I just never did. I just didn't even think about it. So I only started doing that about 2 years ago. And all that little bit kind of starts to add up to something. I one time was at the makeup show in San Francisco, and I remember I was talking to Nils from Beautylish, and he said, "Oh, you should join our affiliate program." I was okay. He goes, "Yeah." I go, "So for some people, it starts out that it's just a little bit of extra coffee money a month, and then it becomes maybe buying like a handbag, and then it becomes their car payment. So it as you do that, it does add up. So again." Can live on it, but it's a nice addition. And then for my excuse me, my day job, still early here. For my day job, I work in a tech marketing and marketing consultant for some high tech companies. So.
okay. And I'm out of curiosity, when you work with your clients on the marketing side, do you tell them about your personal brand YouTube stuff? Does that help you with your credibility with your day job, or are you sort of keeping it separate?
Well, I kept it separate for a really long time, but about, I don't know, about 6, 8 months ago, I started telling people about it. I kind of was like, okay, at this point, and a couple of people are starting to find me too at that point. So you just randomly like, oh, that's Nicole. So now I talk about it. And what's really interesting though is that I was consulting for one company. I was, running their social media channels, and this was like 4 years ago, like when live video really, Periscope and all that. And I was starting to get on it because of my YouTube channel. And I was like, wow, because suddenly I had access to these people and the conversations, people that were going live that were, heads of companies that normally you would never be able to, kind of talk to. And I realized how powerful that was. And so because of my experience of doing it myself, to promote my channel, I
Right.
brought it to them. I was like, this is like a really big thing. We got to do this. It took some convincing, but when we finally did, it just really boosted the program, because we were doing Facebook Lives and it was getting hundreds of thousands of views and boosting their organic reach and all that. So it's really interesting how the experience of doing this has really helped me in my job.
Yeah, I could definitely see that because it's essentially like a sandbox, like a testing ground for a lot of ideas, and you can throw it into your stuff with no one saying you can't. and then just test things out, and then you can pull that over to the work that you're doing. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is that when you're doing it for yourself, I mean, I don't have an ad budget or whatever. And, not that you'd really run ads on your own videos, but you know what I mean? You get scrappier, you figure out ways, especially when I was trying to get those first subscribers, when that video comes out, if I was talking about something that was at Costco or whatever, I would, tag Costco in it and hashtag Costco or Costco deals or something. So people find that hashtag might see it and want to watch my video. So you start to kind of really try to figure out ways because, there's so much noise and you're trying to be
Right.
discovered. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. So, you've gotten to where you are today. You've got close to 15,000 YouTube subscribers as your primary platform, and you've got your consulting business as well. Like, what's the future look like for you? Like, what are you looking forward to, in the coming year, couple years, 5 years, 10 years? Like, what's your vision for the direction that you're going, and what are some things that you might be focusing on?
Well, I've got my little new concept that's coming out, and I'm excited to see how that goes. Kind of different twist on the whole makeup thing. And I mean,
Do you want to talk briefly on that, or it's a secret?
well, I guess I could. Yeah, I guess I could. So it's makeup and music. And I am a huge music fan, especially rock music. And it was inspired by, I don't know if you know Bailey Sarian, but she puts on her makeup, kind of a get ready with me while she talks about true crime. No makeup talk at all. She happens to be putting on her makeup. So I love music. So what I'm doing is my first one is actually about AC/DC, one of my favorite bands.
Cool.
And so I've read biographies, different articles, and like when I read about a band, like when I was doing Fleetwood Mac, I didn't just read about the Fleetwood Mac biography. I also read the one about Stevie Nicks, Mick Fleetwood, Lindsey Buckingham, and Lindsey Buckingham's girlfriend, what she wrote, because then you get kind of a fuller picture when you get all these different points of views, right? And what I found is in these different books and articles, you never kind of get all of that. So I tried to compile all that together about AC/DC and kind of as I put on my makeup and get ready. And so I thought that'd be kind of fun because if you're not really interested in makeup, you still get the story, kind of you could just like kind of tune out looking at me and listen to it. Or if you like the makeup too, you can enjoy that as you're listening to the
Nice.
information about the band. So I'm going to be doing a series of those.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I look forward to checking that out. The first one's dropping this weekend, you said?
Should be this weekend. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good luck with
Yeah.
that. Maybe
Thank you.
sometime in the future we can do an update interview and we can see how
Yeah.
that goes.
Yeah.
So okay. Sorry for cutting you off when you're
Oh,
talking about the future stuff, but
no
what
worries.
else is
Yeah. Well, I've told my husband, I said, look, even if we retired, I would want to keep doing YouTube because it brings me joy. It makes me happy and I love it. So I think I'm going to just keep doing this pretty much, forever, unless the platform goes away.
yeah, nice. And do you have anything I guess I guess you're about to release this new concept, so that's probably a big focus right now.
Mhm.
But do you have a vision of where it's going to go, or is it more just like let's just run with it, and wherever it goes, you'll sort of go along with it?
Well, I like the kind of the storytelling part of it. That was really fun for me to do, to kind of put it together with all the little details that I'd want to know. Because 90% of the time when you look up someone's story, you get like kind of all the same, that basic stuff that most people know. So, I was digging more into the details. Yes, I give the overall story in case someone doesn't know it, but then I go into, little deep dives about, how things happened or how the logo came to be made, who designed it, why it was designed, little ins and outs of things and relationships, that kind of happen. So I would hope that this becomes something, where I could put out like one a week. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, I ended up with 18 pages, full
Oh
of
wow.
notes.
And this is just
So
for one video
that
for
was
the
for
AC/DC.
ACDC. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like a
But
series. It's all that research is for one video.
that was for one, yeah.
Okay.
But on the plus side of it, I think it was harder for the first one because I really wanted to kind of I had to figure out how to put all this information together in a way that I could tell the story well in an interesting way. But there's going to be a part two because I only got through basically the Bon Scott years when Brian Johnson became their lead singer
Oh, that's
because
funny.
there's so much to how they became a band. Like okay, they had two rock star brothers. People probably don't know that
Mhm.
one of their brothers was in a band in Australia that was like rivaling the Beatles for Australia. And it's little things like that, that
Okay.
people don't know. So yeah, so I'm gonna do part two of that and I'll pick my next band. So and what I like is I
Nice.
call it makeup and music because I want to be able to do any genre of music because I love so many types of music.
I see the potential in that. I'm pretty excited to see how that goes. So good luck with that.
Thank you.
So
You're
before
the
we do,
first to know it's been revealed.
yeah. So, you know, before I open the floor for to tell people like how to connect with you or how to reach out to you and things like that, and knowing the kind of listeners that we have on the show here, do you have any last words that you'd like to share with the audience? Knowing that a lot of them are maybe people starting out or maybe people that are established in the platforms just trying to grow their influence.
Yeah, I would say, you know, do what you want to do. Don't worry so much about what everyone else thinks because I there's some videos that I watch where the production value is not good, but it's the information that's so interesting to me. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, do your best, but don't worry too much. I think that sometimes in the beginning, okay, this is a funny example. Everyone was doing the swatches, on their arms, with their fingers of eyeshadow. And I was like, but we don't put eyeshadow. I mean, yeah, for the shiny stuff, you use your fingers. A lot of times it works better. But use a brush. I was like, what if we should do brush swatches? And I thought, oh, no one kind of does that. Guess what? About 2 months later, someone did brush swatches and then everyone's like, oh my God, what a good idea. And I was like, how funny. But I was kind of worried about trying something different. So do the different. You know what I mean? Do the different. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, especially when you're starting out. There's not that many people watching. So test things out, try different things, kind of see what hits.
I love it. Do the different. You hear that?
I had a t-shirt made of that. I think I like that.
Yeah. Nicole will have a t-shirt in a couple of weeks saying do the
Dropping
different.
merch. No.
Okay, so what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? I'll have the links of everything in the description in the show notes, of course. But you're on YouTube. Sounds like you reply to PMs on Instagram. But like, if someone got value today, they just want to say thank you. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, definitely, Instagram. I'm Yay or Nay Nicole on all social channels and my YouTube channel. So yeah, reach out to me there. And, if you really have a question, you can get to my email address through my YouTube about area.
Perfect. And so if you're looking to grow your influence and grow your thought leadership, then listening to these interviews is a great way to do that. People like Nicole are doing an amazing job building a personal presence for themselves and building a community around that. And if you're looking to level up what you're doing, I host a weekly meetup, and you're of course welcome to join that.
That'd be great.
A link to in my social media for that, and as well as we're sponsored by TubeBuddy, which is a YouTube tool for doing SEO research.
Yes, TubeBuddy is great. I've been using TubeBuddy for years.
Nice.
They've got a free and they've got the upgraded ones. I pay the upgraded one. That's super, super helpful when you're starting out. I should have said that. I forgot about TubeBuddy.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, so they sponsor the Y Influence podcast and our meetups. So there's a 30-day free trial in the description here, but. We're also sponsored by AIT, which is the Association of Influencers and Thought Leaders. It's a great place to build community and to learn from others there as well. So I just want to say, thank you, Nicole, for taking the time to share with us today. For listeners, definitely go check out Nicole's work. Maybe poke in some of her earlier content just so you can see where she started to where she's gotten to. And then send her just a private message on Instagram and just say, thank you for sharing. And yeah, I guess before I let you go, Nicole, I always like to ask for feedback because I'm on my own journey of overcoming my barriers and self-development and things like that. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on how this interview went, positive, constructive, just the process for you.
Oh, super positive. I mean, super well organized. You're a wonderful host. Good questions. I think you're really doing a valuable service for people because this is the kind of thing that didn't really exist back when I started. You know what I mean? There are a couple channels that kind of helped, but getting this kind of input from people is so helpful because, I found that when I listen to these kinds of things, even if 90% of it doesn't apply, I always get something out of it. And, it's something you can have on as you're doing the dishes or laundry or whatever. And you'll get something out of it. There'll be something that makes you think. So I think it's been fantastic, and I'm really appreciative that you had me on.
Oh, thanks so much, Nicole. All right, well, thank you for tuning in today. Appreciate you taking the time to listen in to another episode of the Y Influence podcast, and thanks again, Nicole, for taking the time to share today.
Thanks. Have